Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus full review. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Welcome to my Galaxy S10 Plus full review. You see how reflective that thing is? But I want to mention one thing before we get going. You can see right there, I'm shooting this video on the Galaxy S10. And, you know, a lot of people think that they need a fancy camera to make YouTube videos. No, you don't. Look at this video. It looks good. You need some good lighting, and you definitely need some good audio. You can see I'm shooting on this mic right here, but I just wanted to let that be known so you can kind of get an idea of the quality. Now, if you see a little bit of in and out focus, that's the dual pixel AF doing its job. So do keep that in mind. You might see a little bit of that. That's what comes with using a phone. Typically, I shoot on a Sony camera, which has amazing focus. Let's begin with the first thing I've experienced using this in this review, and that is the design. So let's begin by talking about the design of the Galaxy S10 Plus. So the first thing you're going to notice is that this is a light phone. For sure, it's a light device. Feels lighter than the Galaxy S9 Plus, the Galaxy Note 9. Next thing I noticed was the asymmetrical look. So at the bottom, we do have ourselves kind of a squarish look, and then we do have curved edges along the sides. At the top, it's a little more squared again, and then the corners are pretty round. So nothing is kind of like symmetrical about this device. Even the cutout here, which we'll talk about in a minute, is not symmetrical to the display either. So this is an asymmetrical kind of design. Is that a negative? That depends on your personal opinion. For me, I actually find this phone to be very comfortable to hold because of the curved edges and being light. So actually, this was more comfortable to lug around than an iPhone XS Max in terms of the weight. So felt good there. Another thing I really liked about what Samsung did here with this cutout is that they decided to not copy the notch, which gives them their own identity. So if you look at somebody using this phone in public, you're gonna know that's a Galaxy phone. Hey, you see that cutout? That's a Galaxy phone over there. Just like you would notice, hey, that's an iPhone. I see that notch. I know what that is over there. Same with the Galaxy. And that's cool because before, a lot of phones kind of look the same. Now you know if you see this thing, it's a Galaxy for sure. The back does get really fingerprinty, like really fingerprinty, depending on the color you go with. I would say go with the white if you don't want to show it too much, but the blue, the green color, the black color, all of those are going to show fingerprints a lot more than the white color does. So definitely a fingerprint magnet here on the rear of the Galaxy S10 Plus. I really liked how thin the phone was, very thin. So very thin, light. Design is typical Samsung, shiny, big device that we've seen like before, but it's just a little bit more refined and updated and has closer to an all-screen display. Very thin bezel at the top and a minimal bezel here at the bottom. Some people like to call this a chin curved side. So really, it's the ultimate Samsung for people who really have enjoyed the curved panel devices like the S7 Edge, the S8 Plus, the S9 Plus. This is the ultimate version thus far. But I think it's going to get even better in the future as Samsung's going to find a way to integrate the camera under the display, and then we're going to have a truly all-screen device. Overall, using this phone, I've loved the design overall, and I think it's pretty nice. I think that it's a great option to have within the sphere of all the other nice phones out there these days. So in terms of the build quality, on the rear, Gorilla Glass 5. On the front, we're talking about Gorilla Glass 6. So the front is actually a little bit stronger glass than the rear glass on this device. Now, the sides are aluminum. So aluminum is lighter than stainless steel, which is why this phone is lighter than like the iPhone XS Max, for example. This material is just lighter. However, I find that the rear is the one that has a little bit more writing, so you have a little bit more stuff that can wear off over time. So definitely keep a case on this thing. It's not going to be a phone that just because it has Gorilla Glass 6, the latest thing, that you want to rock without a case. Now, of course, you can get by. If you drop it a couple times, you might not damage it fully, but with this kind of investment, why not? So even though it has all the latest and greatest protections on it, it does have IP68, dust and waterproof as well. I still want this thing in a case, and I kept it in it the whole entire time I was using it. But the build quality feels light and durable. That's how I can describe it. Let's talk about the display for a minute. This one is typical Samsung in the fashion that they have usually the best display out there when the phone does launch. Same with the Galaxy S10 Plus. If I go to display, We have screen modes, vivid and natural. Now, if we go in the advanced settings, you can change your RGB settings as well on there. The vivid is really saturated and the natural is very like color accurate. So kind of like what you see on the iPhone series on the natural mode. And then on the vivid, it's typical Samsung, your very popping color. So people who like that, you don't lose out on that anymore either. So you don't have as many modes as before, but the screen resolution here, unlike the S10e, gives you WQHD plus. And this is not the highest PPI due to the screen size being at 6.4 inches. The Galaxy S10 I'm recording this on actually has the highest pixel density. This one's at 522 pixels per inch. This is also an HDR10 Plus display. So in the camera, you can actually shoot HDR10 Plus videos. So if we go down here and we go to the video recording options, it's advanced recording options, excuse me. Let's go here. You can see HDR10 video. Now, you're not going to be able to see this unless you're looking at it on the Galaxy S10 Plus, or else it won't even look right if you look at it on a different screen. So HDR10 Plus support. I just gotta say, very sharp text. We're used to this already. Video looks great as always. We have dark blacks, contrasty colors. It just looks a little bit more natural than before on older Samsung devices. Does the cutout really get in the way? And I would say yes and no. If you're the type of person who has your eye going up to there, then it might be a problem. So we're in this photo, right? The cutout is hidden, and I want to show you what I'm talking about. So if we zoom in and then we're looking fully, you can see the cutout does get into the content a little bit up here. So if that bothers you, then this is probably not the phone for you, but I don't think it's going to bother most people. And actually having this very minimal bezel feels really nice on the Galaxy S10 Plus. So for me, it didn't really bother me too much, and I think you will get used to it. Another nice thing about this display, and I like about all the Samsung phones lately, is that they all can do this. They can all rotate on the stock launcher. You don't have to download a launcher like Nova to get the rotation landscape. This is useful if you use your phone a lot in bed and whatever, and you want to use it like a little tablet at nighttime. This is a very useful feature, especially if you're doing multitasking or doing some stuff, you need more screen space. Going in landscape, not a lot of people do anymore, but just having the option to do so is still nice. I would like to see this on the iPhone series as well. So the display overall, you guessed it, dynamic AMOLED, it's beautiful. I mean, after a week using it, it's the best display I've ever seen on a Samsung phone, but I still like the Galaxy S10s a little bit more because there's a single cutout and it has higher pixel density. But this one will be my second favorite, but still best display on the market hands down for this size of a device. We have this fingerprint sensor in the display. Now my experience with this has been 50-50, and not because it doesn't work. It works excellent, but honestly, I feel like I have to get it like correctly perfect in that spot for it to work every time. You've seen right there, or tap it at the right distance. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to. Now that doesn't mean it's not a great fingerprint sensor. You can also activate it with the screen off if you know where it's at. You'll get used to it and you can activate with the screen off. So it works perfectly when you do get your finger, but I still think a lot of users, when they get this phone, they're gonna be going like this, they'll miss it, or they'll go over here, they'll say, hey, put your finger on a little longer, and they'll miss again, and maybe they'll miss again, and there we go, we'll get it. So this is gonna happen to you when you first get this phone. Regardless of the clips you're seeing on YouTube where people just get it the first time, I'm guaranteeing you they made sure they got that thumb on there perfectly before they shot that little clip in that review, because this does miss sometimes if you don't do it perfectly on the fingerprint sensor. So it's good, but you got to get your finger on there correctly every time for it to work. So my experience with the software has been that it's similar to what we already seen on the updates for the S9, S9 Plus. Of course, it's the One UI. So Samsung is bringing more consistency across their phones. Everyone who has the One UI is going to have a very similar experience, but this one brings things like the all-new night mode, which is an amazing mode. I found this very useful at nighttime. We do have ourselves the wireless power share, which allows you to place other devices onto your device to share power. Awesome feature there for the device. Also, you have a ton of advanced features on here. If we go down here to advanced features, there's plenty you could play around with. Bixby routines, Bixby key, smart pop, smart capture, direct share. You can reduce animations now to make this even faster. You got a ton of motions and gestures, and Samsung seemed to keep all of the practical stuff that people actually use on their device. So I find it a little bit cleaner than before. The software itself though has gestures now. As you're seeing, I'm swiping away, And you will get used to this. It's a nice touch. I think in the future, Samsung might ditch the navigation bar altogether once people do get used to it. But I wouldn't hold my breath because they do like to, you know, keep options as well. Now, one thing I don't like is when I do split screen, for some reason, no longer can I go ahead and just flip these around real easy. I'm like, what? Why can't I do that? I can't do that anymore. And it makes me upset because the old Samsungs could do that. Also, when we do pop view, I do like this new feature in pop view. If we go to pop view here, let's go to pop view. We have this like transparency. Now, LG phones used to do this, but it's nice that the Samsung phones are now doing this. Took them forever, but still, I'm happy that they do this now because say you're looking at some numbers, you need to go text somebody that number you just got. This app can get in the way. Then you had to do this every time. You had to go ahead and make it small and then come back and do it. So having that transparency is an awesome touch here. Overall, the One UI is slick, smooth, has plenty of features, and it's very clean in comparison to some older Samsung devices, new icon changes and stuff like that. I think many will enjoy it, and if you're not the type of person who likes an app drawer, you can also go into the home settings and go ahead and put on the home screen only mode if you're into that iPhone grid of icons kind of thing. So very customizable, clean Samsung experience. Talking about performance, I feel like this topic is just getting kind of old at this point because Samsung and many other phone manufacturers have reached that point of saturation. Everybody's got a phone that's fast now. So it's like 7 nanometer 855. This is not even what we're looking at anymore. We're looking more at the cameras on the phone. What else features do it bring? Because the speed is so good on every other phone that you probably weren't even upgrading from a slow phone if you do come to this one. So what I can say is yes, it's a little bit snappier than other phones, as it should be. It should be snappier than the other Samsung phones that came before it. It still is missing that level of smooth that I see on some competitor devices. You know which one I'm talking about, the XS Max. A little bit smoother feeling than this, but this is still snappier feeling. The animations of the apps open quicker. So if you like a quick phone, especially if you turn off the animations on here, oh man, this thing flies through everything you do. So it's not the smoothest phone I've ever felt, but it's definitely probably the fastest looking phone I've ever seen on the market so far. So 8 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 855, you know the drill. This thing is a powerhouse performer, and it actually shows it with all the multitasking you could do. You could put a pop view here. You can go ahead and bring in another pop view over here. And not only that, you can bring an even other pop view of Amazon right here. You can have multiple applications running at once, really showcasing, and no lag have you, and no overheating either have you when doing all this stuff. So it really can show its power as well. But when opening the camera, you do have several modes: video mode, photo mode, as well as super slow-mo, slow motion, and there's many, many more. Now, if we go here, you can punch in telephoto, standard wide, ultra wide. Up here, you have your aspect ratios, which is nice to see. Then if we go back, we have our filter modes. Click that, you can go through those. Beauty modes, I mean, this camera is loaded. This is the versatile camera software. Everything's right in the settings the way we like it. Pro mode is not in video for some reason right now, which is annoying. I also like how you can do this little thing in the camera where you take the photo shutter key, you can bring it up here if you can't reach it when you're doing some type of photo. That's really awesome. Over here, you have panorama. You have food mode, Instagram. You could see sometimes a little bit slow going through these things, but I think that'll be fixed in some future updates. Over here, if we go to settings, then we go in here, you can see scene optimizer will try to analyze the scene and try to make the photo better. You can see you have shot suggestions, which will place this little circle trying to give you the best shot in the middle of the screen. Flaw detection, motion photo, save options. You can change your video sizes up to 4K 60, which doesn't have a recording limit, by the way, which is an upgrade over the Galaxy S9. Front camera, you can go up to 4K, as you can see right there. Advanced recording options, high efficiency video, HEVC, as well as HDR10 Plus. We talked about that earlier. You have video stabilization when you do bring it into like 1080p 60, for example. Let's bring it here. Let's go back. You can see video stabilization does come back on. A little bit of a bummer that you don't have it in 4K, but it's there. We have grid lines, which you definitely need if you know anything about photography. Location tags, you can change all these camera modes right here. You can move them in and out. They're pretty much all on by default, so you're gonna have to turn them off if you don't like them. You can keep using the last mode you were in. You have the quick launch feature, of course, and the shutter sound. So, I mean, the camera is just loaded. If we flip it around to the front, there's a little bit less features going down at the bottom, just Instagram, live focus, video. And one thing about this new live focus mode is that when you do take a photo, You see that little bit of a delay right there. I didn't like that. You can see that you can spin the background. You can also do different effects like zooming and changing the color and stuff like that. So there's more creativity going on with the camera when it comes to the portrait live focus mode. Also, you have Bixby Vision up here and AR emoji, but that's about it. That is the camera. You can just quick launch it at any time and just get onto your photo and start shooting. It has an excellent setup. I just don't find this depth camera to be that useful. Unless you take a lot of portraits, you might see a little bit of a difference, but I don't think it was really useful. Kind of just there, I feel like, to separate it from the Galaxy S10. So instead of me talking on more about the camera, go ahead and take a look at these samples and you decide what you think of the Galaxy S10 Plus's camera. Galaxy S10 Plus is bringing a very versatile audio setup. You do have yourself a 3.5mm headset jack, USB-C for transferring, as well as using USB-C headphones if you would like. You have dual Dolby Atmos speakers, one down here, one up here. You can go ahead and turn on Dolby Atmos right there and customize your audio experience, whether you're watching a movie, music, or voice. So again, just like with the camera, the versatility of audio is excellent for the Galaxy S10 Plus. You can get the Galaxy Buds to go with this if you would like. It comes with AKG headphones right in the box. So that's a nice touch. I'll show them to you right here. AKG headphones right there in the box. So really, it's an excellent audio offering here. While it might not be LG level of quality through it, the versatility is all there. With Bluetooth 5.0, everything connects really quickly. And I just gotta say, I was not disappointed with the audio. So I've been using the Galaxy Note 9 on One UI for several days now, just about 2 or 3 days, and it's been excellent, and this is factoring to why I'm not. And you see how loud it is right there. As a matter of fact, it's so loud. I turned it on in Starbucks the other day, and it was so loud that everybody was looking at the phone, so I had to turn it back down. So super loud, good audio here for your Galaxy S10 Plus. Battery. Wow. We don't need to say no more. We're done. Let's get on to the, no, I'm just kidding. Battery life, 4,100 milliamp hour. The reason I kind of made that statement was because it's kind of excellent. It really is. Wow. You're going to be kind of like, wow, this is some amazing battery life. Yesterday, I was out all day with this phone, taking photos, videos, making calls, going on the internet. I came home with 77%. Let that sink in. 77%. Let's have a moment of silence for the excellent battery life on the Galaxy S10. Well, S10 Plus to be exact. The Galaxy S10, amazing battery life. I'm getting around 7 hours on screen time. That is with heavy use. Probably could go more. Medium power saving mode, forget about it. You could go 2 days if you're a light user. Let's just put it this way. Fast charging, amazingly large 4,100 milliamp hour battery. There's not really many phones that are touching this except for those really large phones like the Mate 20X with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, or those rugged phones that give you like a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. For flagship premium phones of this size, this is probably the best you're gonna get right now. So I want to talk about the phone call quality just a second. It's been excellent, really good reception, as well as very loud calls. Like I can hear people really well through the earpiece and the speaker. Just excellent overall call experience. You have headphones that you can talk to people through, the AKG headset. It's just been excellent when it comes to its phone call. So just keep that in mind. I do think that the smaller phones are a little bit more comfortable to hold up to the face if you like that. If you're on the phone a lot, like you talk a lot on your phone, you still have more battery life though, so this should last longer. So overall, just really a thumbs up here. So that's it. We're done here. Galaxy S10 Plus. What is my final conclusion? Well, at a price of $1,000, is it worth it? Well, yeah, if you want a phone that doesn't have an S Pen, if you want a Note phone, then this one's not for you. But if you like the Note phone, but you never needed an S Pen, you can get the S10 Plus a little bit cheaper than the Notes usually run you. So excellent device overall. I didn't talk much about Bixby because, well, it's Bixby. Need I say more? No, it's really just not an assistant I prefer. And yes, that is a little bit biased. It does work very well if you're into Bixby, but I just prefer using the Google Assistant. So it does work. You can remap this button if you like, but at a price of $1,000, does the Galaxy S10 Plus offer you a phone that you should choose over the S10e, the S10? And my answer to that is that depends. If you need the biggest display, yes. If you want that triple camera, but you don't want a medium-sized phone, yes. And I think that the S10 is really close to this though. So if you want to save some money, you might want to consider the phone I'm shooting this video on right here. Overall, I gotta say I've been happy with this phone. Samsung almost hits the total package here, but just misses it with no S Pen. So for the total package, you wanna wait for the Note 10. The last thing I forgot to cover was the storage. You can expand the memory up to 512 gigabytes. You can get this thing in a terabyte of storage. It's ridiculous, 12 gigabytes of RAM. Who needs that? But it's there if you do. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me. Let us know your experience if you got the S10 Plus, S10e, or S10. Subscribe for more. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you're not missing out on any of my future videos. I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and I thank you very much for watching, and peace.